It's time for the Glendale Devotional Podcast, a 5-minute weekday devotional ministry from Glendale Baptist Church in Glen, Mississippi. The speaker is John Haynes. Now, here is Brother John.
Today's devotion is for those who have failed. As we study the life and times of Moses, we have seen a baby protected by God, a young man given the very best of Egyptian education and preparation. We've seen a man who acted rashly and even killed an Egyptian guard, only to be ratted out and rejected by his own countrymen. This man, Moses, fled, began a family, and tended to the flock of his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, what is today Saudi Arabia. For 40 years, this man tended the flocks until one day, at the very back of the desert, literally in the middle of nowhere, God spoke to him in a burning bush. God called out to Moses and told him that he, Moses, would lead the Hebrew people out of Egyptian slavery. So for those of us who, at one time or another, have made a mess out of things, we can easily see how Moses perhaps thought that God had the wrong person. After all, God doesn't use those who have messed up, does he? Oh, quite the contrary. Jacob was all around shady. He was a deceiver, and yet God fortified him and used him in a great way. Gideon was hiding in the threshing floor when God told him of his assignment to this brave warrior. David fell into lust, adultery, and even murder. Simon Peter often said and did the wrong thing and even cut off a man's ear in anger. I tell you that God's ways are not man's ways, and He is perfectly within His right to raise up, preserve, forgive, and use those with, shall we say, checkered pasts. We're in Exodus chapters 3 and 4 today, and because of our time limit, we don't have time to read much of the passage. However, 4 times Moses tried to get God to get someone else. Each time, God reassured Moses that his choice, his plan, and his assignment to Moses was valid. Exodus chapter 3, verse 11, "But Moses said to God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?' Verse 13, "Then Moses said to God, 'What shall I say to them when the children of Israel ask your name?' God responded, 'I am who I am.'" Chapter 4, verse 1, "Then Moses answered and said, 'But suppose they will not believe me or listen to my voice.'" Chapter 4, verse 10, "Then Moses said to the Lord, 'I am not eloquent. I just can't talk very well.'" Moses had every excuse, but excuses don't dictate God's will, do they? Moses did go to Egypt. He did have confrontations with Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. God did lead the children of Israel out of slavery. And He used a man who thought that his service to God and his availability was over. So for all who have thrown in the towel and said, "I'm done, I'm just not worthy," I say with great humility and love, you're right. None of us are worthy of God, His call, His salvation, His blessings. But you know what? That's the beautiful thing about God. He takes something, perhaps a life, a mistake, a bad choice, and somehow rebuilds it. He tunes it up. And out of that ragged old life, God makes something beautiful. Now, this is not a message that is out of touch or outside of our reach. No, God has never changed. He is still the same today as He was yesterday and as He will be forever. Your life is not defined by that mistake that you made. And let me tell you, we all have made plenty. But I ask you today, will your life be remembered and defined by what you have done? Or will you live for Christ and receive what He has done? Don't beat yourself up for mistakes that you've made. Now, if you have sin in your life, you need to repent. If you're not a Christian, God is offering you a fresh start, a new beginning. If you are a Christian, but you've allowed sin to infiltrate your life, then confess that sin to God. Make it right. The most miserable person may not be the unbeliever. The most miserable person is the Christian who is out of the will of God or the one with hidden sin in his or her life. Moses could not get over that God could use him, but he did. And God can use you too. Life is too short to live in past regrets. So look ahead, look up, look to Jesus. Well, that's our devotion for today. Just remember, you can listen to this season of devotions at our website, gdponline.net. I hope that you'll join us tomorrow if you can. Have a good and godly day.